So you're in a small accountancy firm, you're new into your career, you're probably studying right now, as well as doing the junior role within an accountancy firm. So the question is, how do you get noticed? How do you rapidly move your career forward? So the first thing is, and I know this sounds strange because, you've joined accountancy, you probably want to be doing maybe the more complex stuff, you want to get in there. Well, actually, the first thing you want to do is do the simple stuff really well. That means being trustworthy and reliable. That means doing what you say you're going to do. That means before you write anything down to get reviewed before it goes out to the client, making sure there's no typos, that the written English is good, no tech speak, that kind of stuff. Turn up to meetings on time. Now, if you're working partly from home, and it's a virtual meeting, always think on time is 5 minutes early. And it's really important that you do those basics well, that you make sure your work as much as possible is error-free. That the sort of early task you're given as a junior accountant in a small accountancy firm, attention to detail really does matter. So really make sure that your work is clean with minimal errors. Now, you'll soon discover, or you may have already discovered, that there's a time element to what you do. And there's always going to be someone don't blow the budget. So always make sure you know how much time you're expected to spend on a task you've been given. Always, look for feedback if you know you're going to go over it. So it's the first thing I'm going to say is do the simple stuff really well. Now, the second stuff is about be curious and ask questions. You're just being given a little bit of a job. You might be asked to publish a lot of stuff from Dex, HubDoc, auto entry onto a client's account. But, be curious, how does your role fit in? So what are you doing? And how does that link to, say, the VAT return happening? What's a VAT return? Be curious, not just your part of it. Now, in the early days, you're going to probably have very little what I would call client interaction. But as you have more client interaction, be curious about, the client, the individual dealing with, what makes them tick, what's their motivation. The earlier you can develop those client handling skills, the better your career will come. But also when you see, when somebody's reviewed your work and you get the review points back, do ask for feedback. Right, how can I improve? What didn't I miss? What didn't I do? What did I miss out on? Where did I maybe not see the bigger picture? When I've been working with very junior accountants, it's very often they're not looking at the bigger picture, that they're just pushing the numbers in. So, if you are publishing something, take a step back and look, what are the standard stuff that you'd expect there to be every month? Is it there this month on a client? Actually taking that step back, looking for where maybe that, taking a bit of time to think about that, be curious and ask questions. The third point I want to add is be easy to work with. Have a smile and that positive attitude. It's the people that get on in a small accountancy firm are the ones that are easy to work with. They're willing to muck in. They're not the ones that when 5 o'clock comes, they leave on the dot, they arrive on the dot at 9. They're willing to flex their time, muck in what's needed to be done. They also bring a whole lot of energy and enthusiasm, and they're passionate and they're happy to be doing. They're not, oh, I did this because I couldn't think of anything else to do. Also be you when you're in the office. I remember when I was very junior in my career, I was scared stiff. I mean, I was shy, didn't know what I was doing, so I got labeled as arrogant because I kept so much in my head. So be you, don't hide behind a facade or think you have to be this professional accountant. And often that means don't show emotion. Be you, be authentic. This is going to get you a lot further than if you feel you have to turn up as this robot accountant. Now, you're going to get a lot of feedback in the early days, whether that's how you are with clients, whether that's the how you're communicating, whatever it is. But treat that feedback as a gift. Now, you're going to get a lot of boring stuff early on in your career. I have to say, reconciling hundreds and hundreds of lines on a bank statement and a cleanup job you may get given is not particularly interesting. But take pride in your work, get it done to a high standard. That is going to make you get noticed. Next thing is have a fresh perspective. If you're entering the accountancy career now, chances are that you've spent a lot of your time already being a digital native. You've probably learned and grown up with social media, with smartphones, all of this tech. So if you see something that can be improved, Don't just go in there with the, I think we could do this better, but just go, I'm curious why we do this way, because I want to understand, because I think we can do it better. So always respect that it may have been done a certain way, but come there with your ideas, come there with a fresh perspective. You know, some of your client base may be nearer to your age than the owner of the practice. So, you know, what stuff can you bring about how this younger, dare I say it, cliche, TikTok generation is thinking about? The next thing is take every opportunity you can do to improve your, what I would call, advisor client management skills. You know, not just the, you know, the accountancy stuff, you know, the study that you're doing. You know, it's these softer skills that are going to make or break your future career in accountancy. So interpersonal communication, empathy with the client, being able to influence positively, you know, being able to have a difficult conversation with the client, teamwork, problem solving. The next thing that I really want to do, and it's something that I hear a lot of, get really confident and comfortable with the telephone. I know that sounds really weird, but you know, the biggest thing I hear is about young accountants being really reluctant to pick up the phone, wanting to hide behind email. You know, if you've shown that you think phone first rather than hide behind email, you'll get noticed, and you'll get noticed for the right reasons. The next thing to do is be honest if you don't understand what you're being asked to do. It's so easy. You think you've got to be keen, you've got to impress, that you've got to be able to handle everything being chucked at you. No, people realize you're young. People expect they're going to be spending time with you. You know, when I say young, it could be you're a mature entrant to the profession. So a young in your career as an accountant. So, you know, people know that you're going to be doing this stuff. And then the final thing that I'd say is be organized about your study and your work. You know, what do I mean by being organized? So make sure you've got time in your diary set aside for study. Make sure that you're not blowing, what I'd say, burning the candle both ends, of trying to do study evenings and weekends and go out. You know, make sure there's enough of a balance there. You know, so of course there's time for going out, but also that the study happens. You know, make sure that when you're, you know, heading up to an exam period, you're still in control enough that you can give your all at work rather than get tired, ratty, and make mistakes. So the more organized you are about when you're going to do your study, how you're going to do your study, so that it doesn't impact your day job, you know, that you're open with your the business owner about when you want to take study leave and it's planned in advance. You know, this last minute stuff can drive an accountancy firm owner up the wall. So let me recap. How do you really get noticed and accelerate your career as a young junior accountant? So do the simple stuff really well. Be curious and ask questions. So don't just see your bit of it, see how it ties into the whole. You know, maybe if you're doing one tiny bit of maybe an audit, how does that tie into the whole audit? What's the purpose of doing the audit? Be easy to work with, number 3. Have that fresh perspective, number 4. Number 5, take every opportunity you can to improve those non-accountancy skills, those client handling, those interpersonal skills. Number 6, be great about picking up the phone. Number 7, being honest if you don't understand what you need to do. And number 8, be really organized about your exams, your study, and making sure you can achieve well in both your exams, but also your work.